Howdy, 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 everybody, and welcome to the iRacing Formula 3.5 Championship here at Road America and lovely Elkhart Lake. I'm Austin Knight. I'm joined by Alessandro Dalladone with Marco Barbonera in the production booth, and you're here watching Apex Racing TV.
We are ready for another exciting round, Austin. Week has been very, very intense of official races. We had also some fights within drivers that we might see still go on in this broadcast race. But for sure, we've been here also last season, and the racing around this track is always very, very interesting. And as we've been also saying last week, Austin, we might still see some different setups going on here because this track suits both kind of downforce, medium and high.
Medium downforce and high downforce definitely are hand in hand. Downforce is very effective going onto the straights, but also in cornering speeds. But I was talking to a lot of drivers, and they're preferring that higher downforce because it just gives you that stability throughout the corner. And the main corner that they always keep bringing up, it's not the 90-degree corners that is just every corner. It is the carousel. That carousel is the key to getting a fast lap around here. And as we're going to go through the field, you're gonna be seeing a lot of high downforce cars. Now in the race, I have seen some lower downforce cars being used, as it just gives them the advantage in the straight. But the slipstream here, no matter what you're using, is so effective that I do not believe we're going to be seeing a lot of medium downforce. There was some talk at the start of the week that we would be seeing some medium downforce. Testing has been going on, and it's just all of it's gonna be all high downforce.
Well, for sure it's gonna be interesting to see in the race, but for now, qualifying, there's only one man we need to talk about, and it's always Ben Fuller, half a second faster than anybody. So it's insane. I don't know how to describe this. These guys are the best in the business when it comes to this car, and he gave half a second to Robert Alton. That's really impressive.
It's nutty. Half a second, it's just one lap. Now, Road America's a long lap. 1 minute 47 seconds in this car. It's pretty much an F2 car. And it is an insane. That is an insane lap to get around here that fast. As we're looking at Enrico Bertot, the only person who hasn't set a valid lap time, who's coming around the final corner right now, opens up DRS. And going up the hill, as we were looking at a few drivers, it looks like we're going to be utilizing all the 8 minutes as Bertot comes across the line and gets that time up there, 149.696, 2.5 seconds behind Ben Fuller. But my goodness, what a I am excited to see what's going to happen right here, as we're looking at Kentaro Yusa right here, who has a few fans in chat.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. A lot of people cheering for him and from Japan. So it is very nice to see they're coming even more towards Formula 3.5 after starting to get to know the car last season. But Austin, it's time to go through the grid.
Yeah, Ben Fuller in that Tabasco-powered Formula 3.5. It certainly runs on some sort of hot sauce, because that thing is on fire. Is starting up there on pole, followed by Robert Charlton, Paul Ilbring, Edward Samborski, Tom Wedgwood, Phil Reed, Alessandro Roccatello, Jason Henrique, James J. Pinsker, Yuki Shirakawa, Theodore Burns, and Jorge Lopez in 12th place, followed by Tyler DeBush, James Byrne, Kentaro Yusa, Benjamin Barto, Eric Lindstrom, Amir Carr, Cedric Finska, and Jamie Byrne, followed by Dennis Cornu and Enrico Bertot at the end of this 22-car grid.
It's gonna be absolutely amazing. It's gonna be very important also to see how this start will be for Ben Fuller, because remember, Robert Arton has this particular technique with the race start that sometimes he gets amazing restart, sometimes instead very, very terrible. So Is this Austin gonna be one of the weeks where Robert shows to everyone how he is the master of restarts? Or I think this start is a bit
every time he
trickier.
said, every time he's had a bad start, he's had a great start last time, and Germany was not a good start. So it is freaking Greg in the chat. He's had. I'm sorry, Greg in the chat. Greg, stop breaking me with your Smurf accounts. He's had bad starts, but we're going to find out. The 5 red lights are coming on. Who's it going to be? It's Road America Racing Time for the iRacing Formula 3.5 Championship, and it's go, go, go! And look at that start by Tarleton.
Yeah, but Fuller with even a better start already cleared him before turn 1.
Yeah, Fuller, Tarleton, Ilbrick, Samborsi, Wedgwood, Rocketello, Henrique, Reed, and Peaster Burns are top 10 as they enter turn 1, and it's a side-by-side fight, 5th and down.
Still side by side in the middle pack as the top 5 or 6 cars now are all side, single file. Already a few drivers probably using their DRSs available to make up a lot of positions already.
Thank you, manager. Thank you, manager, for the 500 yen, also known as $5 donation. Certainly means a lot to all of us here at Apex Racing TV. And also I know yen to USD conversion.
Good boy. You do some math. I cannot do that.
It's actually fairly simple.
Still too tough for me. But here we are with the Paul Ilbrink in 3rd place, defending from Samborski.
Samborski's got a good run.
The way around.
Side by side on Ilbrink, the fight for 3rd. Samborski's looking for an inside move on Paul, but Paul's very aggressive on the first lap that Samborski's been telling me. And Paul not giving up any spot right there. They're still side by side, and I gotta tell you, Tom Wedgwood and Rust Racing has got a great view of it, but Samborski down the inside and up into 3rd as they complete this first lap. And just look at this trade.
Yeah, but look also at the gap that they already have to the top 2 drivers. They're already losing valuable time, and they might really be struggling now to come closer to Tarleton and Fuller. It's pretty much a big ask for Samborski, even though Ed is very, very fast. This gap of 1.5 seconds, it's gonna be a very, very hard task for him.
It certainly is going to be a very hard task, and just see Samborski's pulled out a gap on Wedgwood and Ilbrick as they started fighting again. They're going to go side by side heading into turn 3. Wedgwood around the outside, Ilbrick down to the inside, side by side through turn 3. Wedgwood using all the track, almost coming back on into Ilbrick as they continue racing on. And I gotta say, this has been the cleanest F3.5 start we've seen this season.
Absolutely.
Nobody's been off track.
Everyone leaving themselves plenty of rooms, but
only one driver has had an off-track 2R timing software, and that was Tom Wedgwood.
I feel like drivers will be slowly a bit more aggressive, especially cold tires can catch plenty of people off guard, but I repeat again, these are the best in the business when it comes to this particular car on the racing server. So
we can look at Phil Reed going down the inside of Wedgwood. He's got a good run, but oh no, they make contact! Wedgwood into the gravel and into the wall, and he's going up to Canada through Canada corner.
I think he will be heading for the pits for sure with such a damaged car, as we look also at Jorge Lopez Esposito.
Looking back at Yusa, and Yusa dealing with Lindstrom and Finsack, as Finsack and Lindstrom having a little bit of a scrap mid-corner right there. Looks like Lindstrom might have had a understeering car through that corner, might be dealt with that that dirty air, as we're looking at the very colorful paint of Tyler DeBush. Is that
my
a good smile?
livery?
Is that a good smile car? Yeah, it is a good smile car. Your new favorite livery, Alessandro?
Yeah, I don't know Japanese, but I still approve this livery very much. So
I approve of it too.
My
My
support.
favorite is still useless. Because I know you
We have a
said
pass
that.
here from Hamilcar on Enrico Berdot in 19th place. Unfortunately, this driver starting at the back usually pick up quite a few positions at the start, but today was not the case. Only Tom Wedgwood out in the first 2 laps. And here we are with Jason Enrique in 9th place. Midfield still very, very close.
The Enrique right behind James Yapines here, and James was telling me before this race that he is not feeling confident at this track, and that throughout this entire week it's just been a race of attrition. But honestly, this race has not been attrition at all. Only we've had one incident with Tom Wedgwood unfortunately being just on the outside of that incident, as James Pincer is just dancing behind Theodore Burns, who is behind Alessandro Roccatello. Let's go on board Theodore Burns, looking back at James Pincer. Activates DRS, and he's going to try to use that to get a advantage on Roccatello ahead of him.
Look how shiny this rear wing.
Absolute gold foil right there. There he goes down to the inside. And he's going to be looking like gold if he can make this move work. Almost makes contact, but they keep it on. They're still side by side. The North Sim Racing machine and the DFR machine still battling wheel to wheel as they come out of turn 2, still side by side. And now it's time for Enrique and James to pick up a trade. And James is going off the grass. Woo-hoo-hoo. What a move, James! Trying to look down the inside, and he's going to try to make the move on Roccatello. Here comes Enrique, they're going to go 3 wide!
This is still not clear. Roccatello has still the car on the fender, but Pinsker manages to go through. 7th place from JJ Pinsker. It's not over because Roccatello is now having to defend from Jason Enrique. Meanwhile, thanks for another 300 yen donation. Thank you very much. Maybe Marco can help us translating your nickname, but unfortunately, I'm not really good.
Yeah, that's a Twitter name. And Marco actually just completely just said it as I just looked up at their Twitter, so. Thank you for. I'm sorry, Marco. I keep forgetting that they can't hear you. Thank you for the 300 yen, Betayama.
Yeah, I was too scared to butcher his name, so I waited for Austin.
You don't know exactly.
But yeah, let's keep an eye also on the race. But we thank all these great viewers donating for our great cause, and we are really happy that you appreciate our work we put in here in all these beautiful broadcasts. Barato, I think, is one of the few drivers that have joined for this week, Austin. Benjamin Barato with the 14 car, and a few other French drivers joined.
Yeah, we've had it's a good mix of drivers here. We got American drivers, we got European drivers, Italian drivers, French drivers, UK drivers who don't like being considered European anymore. I know Eastern European drivers are in here, and Japanese drivers, Korean drivers. We got a few Chinese drivers actually throughout the year. And here's that replay of Phil Reed and Wedgwood. It looks like Wedgwood has turned in earlier than Reed was turning in, and that is so unfortunate right there. As we're looking at the field right now in this massive trade, but look at Samborski and Ilbrink in the fight for third.
Yeah, Paul doesn't really want to make a pass here. They might try to open a gap on Phil Reed. He's already 1 second behind Paul, and they don't seem to have the pace to close the gap on the leading 2 drivers. And you also know that here it's very difficult to make a pass. You have these big straights, but dirty air, especially in the middle section, is very, very strong. Look at this train of cars from Burns all the way to corner in 18th place, while Pinsker make a move on Burns for 6th.
Yeah, Pinsker very nice on the straight. Raccatello also very good, and this track is a little bit difficult to pass and everything because it's pretty narrow, and the opportunities to pass are on the straight and in the braking zones. And with these cars, they have a massive draft in 6th gear. It's kind of like hitting a wall. Just you get there and then it's just it is not going to go any faster.
Yeah, indeed. We've seen already in the onboard shots driver hitting the rev limiter quite early, especially in the backstretch coming towards the right-hander after the kink. So it's very, very difficult to make a pass work. As we look now also for the battle for the lead, Fuller and Tarton, similar lap times. Tarton losing in the opening 3, but closing the gap slightly in the last 2, so we might still have a good fight for the lead, Austin.
It certainly might be for the lead because Charlton is within the draft of Fuller, but he's being affected by more dirty air to get close to him, as we got a lot of cars heading down through the kink right now. So we're right on board of Byrne heading into Canada corner. Not going to look for a move on Cedric right here. And Canada corner, it's very easy for the back end to get out on the exit of that corner on the rumble strips as we ride on board Sam Borski. We say hello to Sam Borski's fantastic helmet.
Yeah, as every week, always happy, enjoying life in the highs and lows of the sim racing career. Always happy.
Always happy, and well, hey, he's in 3rd right now, so that is a very happy happy boy indeed.
These guys are working together. I don't think Paul is actively trying to make a pass. He just wants to keep behind Samborski, as we have a nice battle for 11th place between Barato and Jorge Lopez.
Yeah, Barato's very looking good, but if you just, oh no, car into the wall out of the exit of 3.
Let's see the replay. I think it's a matter of master. What you say? What do you think about it?
This is a jar of mustard. This is just a lot of mustard. Too much mustard.
Yeah, I feel like it. It's too much power, unfortunately, exiting that corner. Sometimes you get too hot under braking, but this time, unfortunately, it was a matter of master. As we look now again at Fuller and Tarp.
Oh no, that's James. That's James Pacer, the defending champion, having an issue through Canada corner.
Look at this traffic jam. Everyone trying to make up spots. Oh, we have a pass for the lead. What happened?
Fuller's had an incident. Fuller's gone wide. Taunton's got past Fuller. And this is just by draft. I think Fuller might have had a little bit slower exit corner, and then Robert Taunton blows right past him using that Ferrari Renault powered engine. But now we got a side-by-side draft drag race here for the lead.
And
Taunton
great battle
down the inside, and he's made the move stick, but Fuller is right there on his gearbox, and he's going to be using him as a tow, and both of them having a good fight. Pinsker getting back to the front of the straight, 2x2, still side-by-side racing through all these guys. Pinsker, Shirakawa, Barto, Dobush, Lopez, Lindstrom, and Yusa all involved, and James Pinsker is off again.
went defensive and probably just lost a bit of concentration after that mistake, and now he's all the way back in 18th place. But look at this battle, still side by side, so many cars trying to make up spots. That was Yusa trying to make up a spot on Dubosh, And we have again a change of position in the lead.
The draft is
Fuller
so
with the
powerful.
draft.
It is so powerful here, and Ben Fuller into the lead now, and this is the fight that we've been waiting to see between these two.
Absolutely. These guys are always been very, very fast this season, and they showed so far that probably for what they've shown in these opening 4 rounds, they are probably the favorite for the title.
They're certainly indeed the favorites for the title, and I can't believe I can't believe what's happening right now as we're looking at Henrique and Burns. Burns gets a good turn in and almost gets it to the back of Henrique right now. And all these guys are driving at the top of their ability, and they're so close to each other they can reach out and touch them.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, all these drivers still going at it. We are only 8 laps in, 9 laps now with these, and still drivers fighting like it was the last lap. Enrique trying to make to defend the position on Burns. Burns still on the outside. This is not a very good corner to go side by side, but they give each other plenty of room. They're still side by side through this fast right-hander, and Enrique has to lift a bit to avoid going wide, and now Roccatello tries to make the pass.
Yeah, Roccatello definitely was looking for a outside run right there, but that inside line was so good for Henrique that he's just deciding, and we aren't even halfway through this race yet, and these guys are already getting some anxiety from running nose to tail insanely close to each other, and that's what kind of track that Road America brings with racing. Very tight, very chaotic, and very close race, because trying to build a gap here is physically impossible to do because the draft is so strong here, and if you just start going side by side, the car in front of you is just going to vanish off the distance because of all the 90-degree corners that this track has.
Yeah, indeed, and now Paul Hilbring trying to make a pass on Samborski. Maybe he feels like he can give something to this pack and try to close the gap on Fuller and Thornton if they keep fighting for the lead. They closed the gap ever so slightly in the last 2 laps, while the leaders were swapping positions, but still almost 5 seconds. It's too much, in my opinion, Austin, to think about contending for the race win.
I don't even think I would even want to think about the race win. I would just think about not having an incident here, because I've seen so many races go on for about 15 laps. No incidents happen. The next thing you know, the field just implodes on itself. Everybody starts making silly mistakes. And then next thing you know, the guy in 15th is going to be finishing in the 8th place. And the guy in 5th place is not even going to be finishing the race because he got into the grass and made contact with 3 cars. This race can be anyone's right now, but really it's in Fuller's and Tarleton's hands on who's going to be taking that top spot, because those 2 drivers have not been making any mistakes throughout the season, unless it's Tarleton on race starts.
Absolutely, and would be not surprised to see a completely reshuffled mid-pack in 5 or 6 laps, because we don't know where to really look at. There are so many battles everywhere on in the field. As we look instead now at the lap comparison between the leader and Robert Tarleton, you can see how Tarleton closed the gap in lap 7, more than 6 tenths. Yes, it was a slightly slower lap for Fuller, but Tarleton with a 48.5 there, the fastest lap of the race.
The fastest lap of the race, just barely. Oh yeah, for him.
48.3 for Ben Fuller. That shows the speed that these 2 guys have as
Oh my goodness, there's contact! Off the track goes Lindstrom.
Some
quotes on the radio. What is the point to overtake here?
Yeah. Makes definitely sense, because it's a very
impossible. It is
but
impossible.
sometimes drivers are a bit stubborn and they just do whatever they feel like it and don't really. But it worked out somewhat okay because no drivers were out of the race after that, and Lindstrom is already slowly making up some spots to get back towards the...
Oh, no, Shirakawa's off and into the wall. And that is damage to Shirakawa in the 17 machine. Here's a replay, is what's happened right here. And too much mustard plant? Too much mustard plant.
Just lost it, yeah.
Yeah.
It's very easy to lose the car in this very fast right-hander. As we look now at Lopez and Roccatello, so I think Lopez just made up a spot on Roccatello. Roccatello slowly dropping down the order, he's struggling a bit to keep up with the drivers in front.
Yeah, not a good track for Roccatello, but hey, you know, that just might be the over-aggressiveness of lap 1 taking its toll. But as we look at Ilbrink and Samborska for our fight for third, these two are definitely racing at each other's sides. We got Burns and Henrique going side by side heading into turn 1. Henrique down the inside and up into 6.
Yeah, these guys should, instead of battling, in my opinion, just try to pull away, because Benjamin Barato in 8th place is almost a second behind, and if they have some good laps and Barato makes a slight mistake, he might be
Ilbrink's
out
on wide.
Ooh, what happened here?
Yeah, I think he just missed his braking zone. Did he pull a Josh Stewart and just absolutely miss his braking point by 50 feet? He did! He used the Josh Stewart line and broke at the curbing, and Josh is going to hate me for bringing this up.
But still, losing only a few seconds, the gap on Phil Reed is 2.2 now. He will have a tough time to catch back to Samborski, but it could have been much worse. And remember, if you go straight there, you fall into no one's land and you find yourself in the pits. So you need to be careful when you go straight at that corner. Look how packed this midfield is still. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars in the background with Dennis Cornu 17th place.
Oh, the Bush and Yusa side by side. And the fight between the commentators' favorite cars are at the front of this fight for 11th.
Indeed.
Which, you know, it's fantastic to look at, I must say.
Oh yeah, I never get tired of seeing all these beautiful liveries, so many different colors. We might be getting boring a bit because every week we bring this up, but liveries are a big part of racing, and we certainly appreciate all the different ideas behind them.
Yeah, I certainly love them. I just like looking at things that look cool. The 21 and the 11 side by side. They're still side by side, and right behind them side by side as well. Hey, do you like drag racing? Because I'm about to see some drag racing right here.
Oh, Pinsker looking to go on the grass again. No,
I
he doesn't this time.
James knew what to expect right there. He's not going to try that again. Lindstrom's on that inside line. Pinsker going way off the track right there. Almost taking the super truck line.
Ooh.
Oh no, James, no! This is not the race for James Pinsker, as if you notice his number has been dropping. I'm not sure if that's because he is playing on a very water-damaged desk. If you've seen the latest Matt Malone Roast My Rig video, his rig is a bit interesting.
Speaking of rigs, mine is also quite interesting. I have a motion rig, even though I have no motion systems installed. So
Office chair?
IKEA desk is not really stable. So once my Fanatec wheel starts rambling with high force feedback, my whole system moves.
Well, James has about 50 pounds on his foot pedals right in front of his clutch.
But for sure, I'll be getting a look at that because it's quite interesting. I wanna know. But let's keep an eye also on these two guys because the gap is very very close. We are lap 14 of 20, so we might starting to see a little bit of tire fall off now. Even though we only had 26 degrees on track earlier, so tires shouldn't really be much of an issue, as Theo Burns is now defending still from Barato and Enrique. And another battle here for 13th place with Finn Sack, Juan Lindstrom, Burn, and everywhere we look there's a pass.
Everywhere we look, there's a battle, there's a pass, there's something going on. And I'm trying to find a spot looking at my timing tower. There is no free space on this track between any two cars. I would say the only one driver that has no one around him at this point is Edward Samborski in third.
That's why we love this series. There's no boring moments. These drivers always provide a lot of amazing battles and clean racing. Crashes are inevitable in racing, as we have a pass for 13th place between Bird and Finn Sack.
Well, off on their own, they're pretty much doing their own test session at this point. Fuller and Tarleton miles ahead of the rest of the field as Ben Fuller and Robert Tarleton just battling, air quote, battling. This more just like tandem running with each other. Separate by half a second as Burns and Bartow side by side, and turn 1 of the 14 looking down the inside. Bartow, though, unfortunately not fast enough down the inside of this 4.6K field as Burns going to swing it around the outside and stay in 6th place.
Yeah, drivers swapping position every time, and with this draft on this track, it's very easy to make moves on the long straight, as I think Pincer just had another moment and might be calling it a day.
Yeah, James pulling it over off the track, and I think that is going to be the day for James J. Pincer. This is definitely going to be his drop week.
Yeah, he went back on the track, but he's now all by himself in 21st position, so unfortunately for James, evening to forget.
Might need to ask him about the might need to ask him if one of the weights fell over on his pedals.
Oh, definitely would be making some difference. Oh, he clipped the grass and yeah.
Oof.
Oh boy,
managed to wedge his car in there. Yo,
yeah,
Tom
but he got back running. So
how do you get back on the track? You know,
yeah,
that takes skill to get out of that one.
that's cheating.
As Theodore Burns, Bartow, Henrique Lopez battle it all. 4 cars down, or 4 cars deep, down the straight with just about 4 laps to go.
See drivers trying to make their car very wide and to distract their opponents. But these corners are not really where you need to fend an attack. It's right here where you need to use the slipstream, use your DRSs if you have still available, only 8 available during the whole race, and then have a very good braking here as we look at Barato trying to make the pass on the outside, tries to switch back on Burst, sorry, but unfortunately is still behind. There might be a bit of mind games. What do you think now, Austin, with only 4 laps left?
My games are going to start working in here. Is this guy going to be at this position on this final lap? Is he going to go this way on the final lap? It's more of who's going to be in the second row on the final lap that's going to be deciding this incident, as James is limping his stricken car into the pit lane, and it's going to be it's going to be a tough day for Eddie Jordan.
But it's going to be what position are you going to be on that final lap and how close you are on that final lap to the car in front of you. So it's pretty much who's going to be in second place. And Robert Tarleton, I think, has that in mind right here and will not be trying to get ahead of Ben Fuller. And he's just going to try to just stay with them and get as close as can and use all the DRS that he has saved up throughout this race to try to use that to his advantage.
And also being able to have all the DRSs available, at least 2 or 3 even for the last lap if you are in a fight, might be very, very beneficial. And some drivers, especially in the midfield, might have run out trying to pull away or defend from other attacks earlier on, so it's gonna be very interesting to see.
As here is Burns and Bartow. Bartow on the inside. Burns trying to hold it around the outside. We've seen Burns hold it around the outside, but unfortunately had a little bit of a wiggle of oversteer. Bartow's down the inside.
And Bartow making the pass that he was looking for already last time by, and now we try to open a gap. If the drivers behind will start fight with each other, he might have a clear track ahead and pull away. Let's also give Austin a quick shout out to our sponsors, Apex Racing Academy and VRS, to get started in iRacing or even Formula 3.5. We have both data packs in VRS and Apex Racing Academy, and you can get from Virtual Racing School 50 plus data packs, track guides, data analysis software, one-on-one coaching, and also is integrated with Apex Racing Academy, so you find everything on one place. Apex Racing Academy, you get 29 data packs from world class drivers, setups, track guides, group coaching sessions, and much more, so make sure to check it out at apexracingac.com.
And if you're liking what you see here on track right now, and you're new to Apex Racing TV, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and ring that bell for all the action here on Apex Racing TV. And shout out to Marco, as I just seen that graphic for the very first time.
Yeah, Austin coming late to the party.
Well, I don't watch the streams usually live. I usually just look at the text chat and monitor that. I don't have the video sometimes playing.
As we are 3 laps away from the checker, and Fuller is still 7 tenths behind, in front of Tarleton, but the gap might be closing depending on when the drivers also decide to deploy their DRS available. But I think the battles we will keep an eye on also is going to be here, as I think we have trouble for Lindstrom.
Well, Lindstrom's off the track, off in one of my favorite corners, as I call it. I forgot the name of the corner. Oh, it was a little bit of wiggling into there. But I call this corner Bratwurst corner because I don't know why, but it's only in this corner where somebody is always grilling Bratwurst while watching, as we got a side-by-side fight with 2 laps to go. Tarleton round the outside of Ben Fuller.
So he made the move now. Let's see what Fuller does.
Fuller's on him.
So close.
Fuller might be playing. He might be knowing that he will be better off going down the inside of that last lap, but we've seen these two go at it some more, and it can get absolutely wild here. Tarleton defending on the inside. Fuller trying to go for a round the outside move. It's not going to work out. Tarleton holding down the inside line and stays in the lead.
Look how close these drivers are to this section. Fuller might suffer from dirty air, but if he's so close, once they get out of the cars.
Oh, Ben is just sniffing at him.
I think it won't be really difficult for him to make it.
But how much DRS does Ben have compared to Robert Tarleton? Even though DRS plus DRS and you're still in the draft of somebody is still going to give you a big pull right here as Tarleton is finding out right now. Both of non-DRS fights heading into Canada corner. Tarleton on the inside, Fuller on the outside. They make contact just a little bit going into the corner, but they still keep going side by side through Canada corner and through the S. Tarleton stays ahead.
I think Fuller might have lifted a little bit here to make sure to not go side by side through this very difficult corner. But now here comes one of the best opportunities.
White flag in the air, DRS open for both these drivers. Actually, no, Ben Fuller does not have DRS open. Fuller does not have DRS, but Tarleton does. Tarleton pulled out a gap by half a second heading into turn 1 as white flag is in the air here at Road America.
Sinsak in the meantime 15th place, just lost a few positions with a mistake, but let's keep an eye on this great battle. Tarleton has not DRS, Fuller
not using DRS
down,
either.
I don't think he has not, so this might come to the wire after the car.
So late on the brakes is Fuller. He just gained all that time back up. Fuller is not letting any of this go. Every bit of track he's using it, every bit of the braking zone, brakes and all the tires he is using right there to catch up to that number 5 of Robert Tarleton.
Meantime, Enrique just made a pass on Lopez for 8th place. But let's see if who has still a spare DRS available. If someone has still.
Well, if you have one bit of DRS, this is the point to do it right out of the gate, heading into Canada corner. This is going to be your last chance for a bonsai move between these two Americans. Is it going to be Tarleton? Fuller's looking down to the inside. Fuller hops underneath the curb and almost gets there. They're nose to nose. And oh my goodness, nose to gearbox between these two. Fuller looking down the inside at the final corner. It's going to be a drag race here at Road America. Tarleton has the lead. Fuller's right behind. Fuller does not have DRS. Here comes Fuller in the draft. It's going to be side by side across the line. Robert Tarleton takes the win barely by 600ths of a second ahead of Ben Fuller, with Everett Samborski taking 3rd place, followed by Paul Ilbrick and Phil Reed. And my heart is beating out of my chest right there. Oh my goodness.
Absolutely, that was absolutely amazing, and one of the closest finish we had in a long time for sure. That's a replay in the meantime with Barato and Theodore Burns. I think Barato being the loser here in this battle.
Oh, Burns unfortunately got into Barato right there. Barato turned in. I think he just turned in a little bit too much. Look at throughout the field. Whew, whew. Look at this replay. Fuller. Oh, he tried everything. And no DRS for them. They used it all at this point, and Fuller as close as he can. If he had DRS at that ending, he probably could have got that done.
Would keep DRS for alpha stretch, Austin. Come on.
Yeah.
If he had one, he would have used earlier. It might be biting a little bit because it might have saved just one DRS earlier in the race, maybe trying to pull away. He tried to use a lot in the opening part, and that bite him in the end because Robert managed to defend
it was an absolute move.
Very...
And oh my god, I'm just out of breath, but Robert Tarleton takes the win just barely after Ben Fuller, well, ahead of Ben Fuller, right behind him. I'm trying to get this out, but Everett is in my ear right now saying he's out of fuel and can't make it up the hill right now. But Samborski in 3rd, followed by Paul Ilbrick, Phil Reed, Theodore Burns, Jason Enrique, Jorge Lopez, Benjamin Barto, Alessandro Roccatelli, Kentaro Yusa, Tyler DeBush, James Byrne, Dennis Cornu, Jamie Byrne, Erica Lindstrom, Cedric Finskak, Yuki Shirakawa, Enrico Bertot, Emir Car in 20th place, and right behind them in 21st is going to be James Pacer and Tom Wedgwood.
While we wait for the drivers in the interview, let's also give a shout out to the other sponsor of this beautiful broadcast, SDK Gaming. As you can see from this beautiful overlay, we also have this Formula Renault 3.5 overlay at disposal to download. You can add a virtual live hat to iRacing, timing towers, enhanced relative box, minimaps, fuel calculation, everything you need is there. Stream to Twitch or broadcast your leagues, whatever, and you get a 14-day trials free to try the product. And then if you like, you can subscribe directly at sdk-gaming.co.uk.
And thank you, Alexander, for reading off that ad script. As I'm standing by with our winner, Robert Tarleton, here at Road America. Robert, how was that race, and how much are you sweating right now?
Oh man, a lot. That was an insane race. I think it could have definitely gone either way, and I really wasn't. I mean, actually, I was convinced that Ben was going to win that race, and I guess I thought he had more DRS, but I just can't believe that I held on at the end.
Now, were you planning on trying to get into the lead at the moment you did with 2 laps to go, or was this all at the moment type of thing, and you just happened to be there?
So yeah, I was actually thinking about that basically the entire race. You know, I had a lot of time looking at Ben's rear wing to think about it. Earlier in the race, I can't remember if it was like 12 laps or 12 or 13 laps to go. I just gave it a shot to see if I could actually get the pass done on the front straight, and then just see if I could actually hold the lead without using any DRS. But we ended up just battling like every corner, and it was pretty clear that we were just going to lose time. And at that time, I didn't know if I was going to finish, second or whatever. So I wanted to have as much clearance between, us and Samborski. But the other thing was I'd used up a lot of DRS just to catch back up to Ben, and I wasn't sure if he was using DRS at the beginning or what, but I used a lot of, I used a lot of DRS to catch back up to him, so I really only had 2 left after I did that trial pass. And so at that point, I was just going to hang out in his draft and effectively just save it till the last lap and see if there was any opportunities that opened up. But really there wasn't, and so once it got down to 2 laps to go, or I guess near the end of the race, it was either I do it on the second to last lap or I do it on the last lap. And I decided that I do it on the second to last lap, where if I messed it up or if he got past, I still had one more opportunity. But then if I could get it done where I could hold him behind, then I had another DRS to defend the very last lap. And so that was the decision I made, and fortunately it paid off.
It paid off big time for you with P1, and I've got to say that's the best payoff out of any result you can get, because P1's the best result you can, and that's a win for you. And we go from one American drafting track to another. It's Watkins Glen next week at the Classic Boot. How are you feeling about that race?
Oh, that one's also that one's also an interesting one from a strategy perspective. That was the only one that I had won against Tim head to head, so maybe it's going to be a similar situation to this race. But that one can be really dicey if you get caught up in a draft train with multiple cars.
Well, it's going to be a very entertaining race next week. Thank you for joining us, Robert. Before we let you go, anyone you want to thank?
As usual, I'd like to thank my girlfriend Heidi. She was not happy after I basically wrecked my race right off the start line last week, so she's been really pushing me to make sure I practice and stuff this week. So big thank you to her, and thank you guys for the great broadcast as usual.
All right, thank you for always giving us a great show, and congrats on the win once more, as Alessandro is standing by with Ben Fuller.
Yeah, indeed. Let's have a chat with Ben. I think Ben will be definitely happy about his pace because you and Robert had absolutely astonishing pace today, very, very fast, but also disappointed because I think you thought that you could pull away halfway through the race.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, congrats to Robert. You know, he was better on the strategy today, so big ups to him for that. But yeah, it's tough to feel rewarded for such good pace today. I was very aggressive with the DRS early because I felt like half a second per lap was going to be enough to spend some DRS early, build the gap, and then just be able to pull away from there. But I guess not. I mean, I thought I got it to about 1.5, and then I think Robert started using DRS again and caught back up, and then I knew it was going to be a tough race from there. I was just kind of praying and hoping that he was going to make a mistake throughout the race, but I don't think it was just enough today. You know, he could get a second, 1.2 back, and still catch up on the next lap. It's yeah, I don't know. I guess it's racing. It's that's how draft works. That's how things go. But it's really, really unfulfilling from my point of view to be half a second ahead of everybody and still lose. So yeah, this hurts a lot more than making a mistake, I feel like.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Sometimes draft can be your best friend, but other times, like today, unfortunately for you, Ben, definitely did not work on your favor. And what about next week? We move to Watkins Glen, a track that Robert definitely enjoys since he has been really fast also last week.
Yeah, I'm sure it's gonna be the same shit next week. So just gotta prepare mentally for the war at the end, I suppose. I think that's gonna be a very, very difficult one to pull more than 6 or 7 tenths per lap because there's not a lot of corners going on there, especially being the classic layout. You know, there's no chicane, so yeah, it's gonna be a tough one. So we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. Draft playing a big part in that race too. And before we let you go, Ben, someone you would like to thank?
Yeah, big thanks to TQE as always. You know, it was a good setup this week. I was happy from the first few laps, so I think we've made good steps in the setup department. But yeah, it's just tough. You know, I deliver so well on the racetrack, and still just not enough. So we'll see. I need to recuperate and try to understand what I can do differently next time to make sure this doesn't happen. But yeah, we'll see.
Thanks for joining us, Ben, and good luck for next week. Hopefully you can back on the highest place on the podium.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Well, Austin, I think we are running a bit late on schedule today, so I don't think we have still time for another interview.
Yeah, unfortunately, we are running at the end of our allotted time. So thank you, everybody, for joining us here on Apex Racing TV. Thank you for all the lovely support, all the donations today from manager, and I'm going to look back at how I say that name, Petayama, on your donations today. Certainly means a lot to us here on Apex Racing TV and all of us here. I've been joined by Alessandro Dalladonde and Marco Barbanera in the production booth. I'm Austin Knight, and I hope y'all have a good night.